And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another weekly review with The Robot, brought to you by the Movie Pope. And here he is, bolts and nuts akimbo, The Robot.
Happy Rosh Hashana, everyone. I'm particularly excited because I'll be heading home to Long Island to celebrate with the fam. My cousin Mitzi will be there. Haven't seen her since December, so we'll all be excited to catch up. And my nephew Roger's preparing for his bar mitzvah. Oh man, how he has grown. Last time I saw him, he was just a bag full of screws, and now look at him. He's on his way to becoming a man. Anywho, for this special occasion, I'll be reviewing a personal favorite of mine, the disaster comedy Airplane from 1980. This comedy gem is in the pantheon of film classics, and rightly so. Today I'm going to sound off on a few aspects that I noticed when rewatching this. Also, the rabbi at our temple has been hammering me for weeks to review this movie because he's a huge Leslie Nielsen fan. So, Rabbi Frankopin, this one's for you. The story centers around Ted, whose girlfriend Elaine breaks up with him. Desperate to win her back, he boards the flight from Los Angeles to Chicago. Along the way, he regales the passengers with stories of happier times with Elaine, but with one thing or another, the poor sod's unfortunate to hear these tales of past halcyon days and love lost end up. Well, dead. Seriously, how terrible can these stories be? Or is he just so sad that it gives off negative waves to anyone around him? He's a killjoy and his TED Talks are pretty fatal. He's down in the dumps and really doesn't know what to do until he's called into action to save the plane from certain doom. Sure, he's playing it hammy, but you really do root for the guy because he's overcoming the trauma of his wartime experience to be the hero. In the process, he and Elaine reconnect and fall in love all over again, which is always sweet. Not sure why he can't just put water in his mouth, though. Maybe that was because of the war. Who knows? The stuff that people thought was funny in 1980 wouldn't wash today, which is sad, because it shows how, as a society, we've lost a tremendous amount of our sense of humor. Granted, some of the jokes are clearly dated, yet it's so shocking and the people are just acting as if it's business as usual makes it all the more hilarious. The dialogue is rapid fire and you gotta keep up to know what's going on. You can't just tune in and tune out to stay in the loop. A few examples stood out for me. The pilot's avuncular way of asking Joey inappropriate questions will gel with different people, for instance. But man, that little exchange between Joey and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is dynamite. He's trying his hardest to stay in character until Joey just finally pushes and the far end he snaps. Don't matter if it's old or new. Irritating any athlete turned actor just on sports stats will get a chuckle out of me. In the control center where Kramer and everyone is trying to talk Ted in guiding the plane to Chicago, they're not letting up the ridiculousness. McCroskey is the man in charge and acting all super duper macho, and yet he's indulging in every vice in the book. And let's not forget Leslie Nielsen as Dr. Rumack, who's straight-laced yet cheeky whenever he's on his screen. It's the same kind of deadpan humor mastery that'll come into full display when he did Police Squad and, later on, the Naked Gun movies. When things get hairy and the pilots are out, they activate the automatic pilot. Gotta say, he was my favorite. We're a lot alike, me and him, both just thrust into action when our human co-workers aren't up to the task. Oh man, it's a lonely life, really, to be so dependable all the friggin' time. Our inflatable friend, named Otto, just hangs out in cockpit, keeping the plane steady as everyone else is getting sick or panicking. He's an ancillary character, but he still is quite memorable. And he sure is a dirty fellow, too. Whether it's Elaine having to re-inflate him or taking the plane off with an inflatable female companion, he stands out just by being there and not having to say much. Gotta envy the guy, since most of my work involves talking. As much as I love Airplane and it's a favorite of ours at the Movie Pope, I do have to call out a few moments that bothered me. First of all, it's Johnny, the metrosexual flight control guy who just pops in with the quips and non-sequiturs that feel a bit forced and unwarranted, really. You've got a solid core of actors who are doing a pretty good job with carrying the comedy. You don't need this guy adding to it when what he's adding is absolutely nothing. Also, don't really care for the gag with the hippies giving out flowers. They kept it up when the one time was more than sufficient, but to the movie's credit, Kramer is so exasperated he physically takes down all the hippie and religious people soliciting him for support. And finally, Elaine does come off a bit as the classic 1970s pretty ditz who is just there. She tries to be funny by repeating everything Ted says to the control tower, but it didn't stick, at least with me. And the flashbacks, too, try to make her do silly things, like holding a Tupperware party or playing a trumpet at the club, which I felt was forced. Just have her as the pretty dame who says the usual, "Oh no, what are we gonna do?" and appear every so often as I candy for the lads and we're good. They were having her do quite a lot which felt unnecessary. Really just wanted to see Ted and Otto get more screen time together, if I'm being honest. Airplane is one of those movies that's become a classic in cinema. When you watch it, there are some moments that are a bit jarring. Some of the jokes can be a bit corny, but it just works and nobody seems to mind. When you look at disaster movies, they involve the most ludicrous scenarios that are downright laughable, and the characters are just forced to react accordingly. Seriously, ever see 2012? It's a comedy movie without trying to be. Airplane takes the same premise and plays it straight while poking fun, dialing up the character reactions and interactions to 11 and letting us see what plays out. You're introduced to a lot of the passengers, but you don't really get to know them too much. And that's fine, because you're not focusing on them. It's a slice-of-life kind of deal, where we see a cross-section of American society crammed into a flying tin can smelling of farts. Airplane is clearly of its time, but in times where uncertainty reigns supreme, maybe a little nostalgia is exactly what we need. Thanks for watching, and if you don't mind, please leave us a like. It helps a lot. And while you're at it, subscribe so you never miss an episode drop. This is the Robot signing off.